Hello YouTube, this is my 2012 Mini Cooper S. It's a wonderful car all in all. Basically the best go-kart you can buy for your money if you want to drive it on the street. But last week I had a pretty sad event that happened to it. It basically sprung a very small coolant leak, and by the evening I was driving essentially without coolant. And I started getting little engine overheating lights. So I did fix the problem, but this video is about doing something to make sure this, not so that doesn't happen, but something that will warn a potential driver of this problem if it ever happens. So this car is actually from my teenage daughter, who is not driving it yet, thank God. So her dad gets to enjoy it instead, but at some point she'll be driving it. And I definitely want to make sure that if something like this happens to her again, which it could, just because it's all plastic under the hood under very high temperatures, she'll have a very easy way to know to pull over, shut the engine off, call her dad. So this video is about making a custom gauge for the car. We're going to make it look just like a mini gauge. And it's going to show us the temperature, it's going to show us a coolant low warning, and maybe something else that we're going to come up with along the way. So first, this part of the video, I'm actually going to talk very briefly about what actually happened that caused the leak and what I did to fix it. So if you can see here, where I'm pointing my light, there's a piece of brass. So that piece of brass is, it's not my invention, but it is my handiwork. Instead, there was a T-shaped piece of plastic there, which basically, due to temperatures and due to, I guess, just really due to temperatures, I suppose, turns into crud. And in my case, it sprung a small leak. In other people's cases, it springs a pretty big leak. And that was the real problem. This piece of brass actually came from Home Depot. They cost only like $5. I was able to use all the hoses that I already had in the car. So all in all, it was like $5 plus I think another $1 for the straps. And I think it's a much better solution since the oil filter is right there, right below it. So every time you change the oil in your car, you are pushing that piece of plastic around, or that, in my case is brass now. So chance of you cracking that while you're changing your oil is pretty damn high. So anyway, that got fixed as I was fixing the leak. I also replaced the thermostat housing, which I'm not going to talk about much because there are videos on this, and also the crossover pipe right behind it. Pretty much everything that's recommended, when you get into the situation. Unfortunately, this car does not have a coolant level sensor whatsoever. So here's my expansion tank, and there's absolutely no wires coming up to it. The car does not know if it runs out of coolant, as I did in my case. And the temperature sensor sits in a thermostat housing, and it actually senses the coolant itself. So guess what? If you don't have coolant, you don't have a problem, even if your engine is about to melt. So, basically, before you can overheat your engine, you need to know that you're running out of coolant. So you need to have a coolant sensor. So this is my plan. I'm going to build a OBD-based electronic gauge. I'll show that in a second how that looks, or I will look. And I'm also going to put some kind of liquid sensor, not a full level sensor, just something to detect that there's no liquid at the point of the sensor. So I'm going to put that somewhere on the expansion tank, and it's also going to come up as a warning on my new gauge.